Hello, welcome to my channel. I am Lazy Eye Bitcoin Engineer, and I'm here to remind you that if you're not listening to the other side, you are self-brainwashing. What I want to talk about today is actually a mistake that I made in my other video that I want to correct and actually go into some more detail about. So what I said was that when I bought Bitcoin in 2013, that my understanding was that I was buying something like BCH, and I said that that all the three contributors to the Bitcoin up until that point had, agreed that that the block size would be increased. And I said that those three contributors were Satoshi, Gavin, and Mike Hearn. So this guy, Papaganda, was kind enough to point out that I was wrong about that. And it's pretty easy to verify, so I went and verified that. And I thought maybe, because I had heard that somewhere, I thought maybe I had confused it with people who had commit access to the GitHub. But then I looked that up, and it turned out that that wasn't really right either. So then I started thinking, like, maybe I just, I'm not remembering things well, or I was, kind of deceiving myself. Here Greg Maxwell is contributing in 2012, even with commit access. And what I want to show you is how I was able to verify who the committers were, because that'll be kind of fun maybe for some people who don't know how to do something like that using Git. And it'll give us a little more nuanced view of who was actually contributing at that time, rather than just a list of saying like, oh, these 10 people had contributed. We can actually maybe get a better idea about like, what was the size of their contribution and when exactly they kind of joined in. So what I did was I downloaded, or I git cloned the Bitcoin Core repo from GitHub, and I just wanted to look at the Git logs. So for those of you who don't know, Git log will basically just show you, all the commits that have happened on a repository. And if you use this -- stat switch, what it will tell you is, I think these are merge commits, but a normal commit will look something like this. And basically what it's telling you is, here's the commit hash, here's the author, here's the date, and what files were affected, right? So in this commit, it was just this single validation.cpp file, and you can see that there were 24 changes. Whatever this is, it looks like 14 lines were added and 10 removed. So, what that actually means is like 10 lines were changed and 2 were added or whatever. So we can use this to kind of get an idea, who was actually contributing. So what I did was, well, first of all, I usually pipe it through NL. When I'm searching for things at the command line, sometimes I'll pipe it through NL and then I'll grep it. And what that does for you is it puts this, when you pipe it through NL, it puts this line number on the left here. And then by regrepping it, and I can kind of get like oriented to where things are in the code base or in the log, right? So if I grep for this date, December 12th, what I'm hoping to get here is just a list of sort of what line number are we at for December 12th of each year, right? So you'll see here now we've got a bunch of commits on December 12th, 2018 here, and you can see that so basically December 12th, 2018 was around line number 16,000 in this log, right? And here's 2017. Wow, this is slow. I think because I'm recording this video, my disk is being overwhelmed. This is crazy. Anyway, wow, do I have this up here? Maybe I can just scroll up. Jeez, no, it's gone. Awkward. Basically, line 17,000, I'll let this run, is December 2013, or sorry, 170,000. We're going to get to 2013 December. So what I can then do, and I've done this already because I'm not going to make you guys sit through this, is you can grep it for the word author, right? So just like this, I can grep for the word author, and I have the line number there on the left, so I can kind of get a rough idea who was contributing and when prior to 2013, right? So I said it's 170,000. So all these that are below in the log are prior to December 12th, 2013. Wow, that's taking long. So you can see all the early commits are Satoshi, and then Gavin comes in here making a lot of commits. What I was surprised by is how little Mike Hearn shows up. I don't know who Chris is. Maybe that's another email for Chris Moore, but I'm just going to scroll through this really, just kind of scroll through. You guys can take a look. Jeff Garzik, Peter Will. So already some of the current, core supporters or core team are already contributing here in these, 2012, 2013, Matt Corallo. I think Peter Todd is in here for a few commits. I don't know who this guy is. He seemed to be doing quite a bit of work. Vladimir. Jeff Garzik again. I'm trying to go through this quickly. I shot this video already and it was a half hour, and then I shot it again and I left something out. So maybe third time's the charm. I want to keep these under 10 minutes for you guys, and I kind of got lost in the weeds the first time I shot it. But I just want to just give you guys a rough idea who was contributing. Just because, I mean, it's supposed to be a technical channel. Maybe, you guys can see my terrible Git and Bash skills here. Let's use the page up key. How about that? That's sophisticated. Yeah, so you get the idea. There was a lot of contributors. I don't think it's definitely not fair to say that there were only 3 contributors. But basically, when I saw this, I thought, maybe my interpretation is wrong. Maybe I was wrong. Let me go check. Maybe I can check in the old /r/Bitcoin and see. Maybe I was just cherry picking back then and choosing the side of the argument that I wanted to be on. So what I found is a little website called redditsearch.io, and you guys can do this yourselves. I want to show you, so you can do it yourself. If you go here, you can just put in an end date, put in whatever search terms. Maybe somebody wants to put a space in here and get some more threads, but I was able to find a lot of interesting threads. In my first shot of this video, I went through all these and I was looking at all, just looking for the word block size and seeing kind of upvotes, downvotes, what are people saying. But that was a half hour, and I don't think anybody wants to sit around for a half hour watching me browse Reddit. But I did want to highlight just a few things here because, this basically just confirms what I'm saying, that what I bought in 2013 was the BCH roadmap today. So here, this is, I thought, the most interesting one. This is Gavin, and you can see it has 210 upvotes. And he's saying the block size must rise. There's a couple technical things that have to get done first. Okay, fees have to float. That obviously was done on both chains. That's what I've been working on. 2, broadcasting large blocks has to get more efficient. This is BCH, now has graphene and Xthin, right? We know how, we just have to write the code, use Bloom filters. Yeah. So basically, graphene, I don't know what the difference between graphene and Xthin is. One of them uses Bloom filters to, basically when a block is broadcast, it saves from transactions being rebroadcast, right? Because it's every miner basically has the full mempool all the time. When a block is solved, whoever solves it needs to send it to the other miners. Now, that naive way to write that would just be, you just send it to everyone as is, and then they can validate it, and you're done. But what that means is actually every transaction is being broadcast twice, right? It's once when the user broadcasts it to the network, and everybody has to receive it, and then again, they have to receive it again when the block comes through. So this basically is a way where, every transaction can just have an ID. Actually, there's sets of IDs. I think it's even more efficient than that. It's built into a tree of some sort, I think. But I just started looking into this stuff for you guys, so I don't know all the details yet, but we'll get into it if you guys want to see that stuff. But yeah, it saves. I think I saw on a presentation from UMass, I forget what it was. It was Gavin and 4 other authors. They were saying that graphene and Xthin, and this was actually published by blockcore.org too, that they can get it down to like 1/10 of the the size when you're broadcasting the solved block. And he says, then we will have to convince people that increasing the block size won't doom Bitcoin to a downward spiral of transaction fees, just ain't true, or result in 100% of hashing power in a single server closet. So, like I said yesterday, or last video, I did my own back of the envelope calculations. I concluded to my own satisfaction that it was feasible for Bitcoin to scale to world, Visa level, let's say, at least. And then I come on Reddit where everybody's, this is much better than bitcointalk.org because you get upvotes and downvotes. You can get a much more nuanced discussion here. You can engage engage with everybody. And it's not just the engineers, but, I see this. And so I think, all right, great. This is good. I believe in this blockchain idea. I see that it can scale to world levels. I'm a little worried about this 1 megabyte thing, but hey, look, here's the tech lead. He's saying it's going to go up, and it has 210 upvotes. So, if you think I'm cherry picking, please go do it yourself. Find whatever threads you want. In fact, if you find a counterexample, please share it with me. I will definitely share it on your behalf. But honestly, you're not going to find much. Jeff Garzik, the rough consensus seems to be, it does not need to change right now. It will probably need to change in the future. This is on a thread. Is there a consensus on the block size limit issue? 19 upvotes. Okay. I'm not going to get lost here. I got lost here in the first shot of the video and just started going through all these threads, looking for the word block size and reading everything and looking at the upvotes and downvotes. I can tell you, there's a strong consensus that, there's some people straw manning Peter Todd that, as if like half the community is advocating to remove the block size. No. Nobody is saying to remove it. Everybody is basically in agreement, it looks like to me, that there's a middle ground, right? There's a middle ground between 1 megabyte and infinity that is still safe. It's like you're not going to sacrifice any decentralization. And furthermore, it's going to allow us to scale all the way eventually to at least Visa level. And we can get into it. We can definitely get into it. A lot of people I saw even here posting that they thought that the limit was going to be bandwidth, but that's not right, because even I was just looking at the Comcast like commodity bandwidth is 100 megabit per second. So, assuming even some lost packets and overhead, call it 80 megabit per second. Then we're talking about 10 megabytes per second. All right, that's like it's over a gigabyte per block. Let's put it that way. That's commodity connection today. So that shouldn't be an issue. Disk, we can get into that later. CPU validation is actually the current bottleneck, and that's what the BCH guys are working on now with the Bloom filters and the Merklix tree that Amaury created. It's actually pretty cool stuff. Basically, the reason it was bottlenecking is not hardware. The first bottleneck. Eventually hardware will be the bottleneck. That ideally, if you're writing your software right, the hardware should be the bottleneck. Right now, the software is the bottleneck because block validation in the original implementation of Bitcoin could only happen on a single thread. The Merklix tree or the fixes to the Merkle tree, whatever it is, those basically allow the block validation to be like highly parallelized. So if you've got a server with 16 cores, you're going to be able to validate the block in 1/16 of the time. And note that means that the current bottleneck is also bound by Moore's law, because we're talking about the CPU, we're talking about silicon. So as long as the validation remains the bottleneck, we are going to be following an exponential curve, at least until we get like 1 atom transistors from Intel or whatever. Here's another thread I found. This is a Washington Post article about Mike Hearn, where he is saying we need to scale it, and here's how it needs to scale by a factor of 1,000, and here's how to do it. This person's saying he didn't really say how to do it, but so this is pretty interesting. We need to take away the limit and get people to upgrade their nodes. The reason this hasn't been done yet is still we're trying to figure out if there should be a no limit or no limit at all. If there's no limit, how do we ensure somebody doesn't mine an artificially bloated block that's just there to annoy people? So I don't think there was really ever anybody advocating for no limit at all. Like even here, if you read the subtlety, he's not saying that there would be no limit. He's just saying that it would kind of be up to the miners to choose what giant blocks are considered spammy and ignore those perhaps, right? That's kind of what he's saying there. Reforming the fee system, yeah. So Peter Todd counters that we need more off-chain transactions, instead preserving the decentralized nature of the network, ensuring that money invested in mining equipment goes towards hashes and not infrastructure. The pros, the transition fees will be small. Scalability, obviously, we wanted the whole world to use this. The cons are centralization of mining will be more pronounced, right? So that is a legitimate argument, but, and this is the thing that I don't think any core supporter could really argue convincingly with me, is like, okay, yes, if you make the blocks too big, it will cause centralization. Why not 2 megabytes? Like 1 megabyte is okay. Do you really think that doubling it is gonna like suddenly half the miners are gonna be insolvent and shut down their nodes because you doubled the block size? So yeah, I don't really understand, why there's no middle ground. Why is there no middle ground? So BCH to me is the middle ground. We're not BSV. We're not saying that you can increase it arbitrarily and just mine blocks in your data center and use your land to broadcast over. We are saying that 1 megabyte was never intended to be a permanent limit, and the plan was always to increase it. So that's what we're doing. And one more thread, and then I think we'll be done with this. This one actually, well, there's just a bit of drama here. If you're interested in drama, maybe. I'll leave all these links below. You can come check these out, and I'll leave the other ones too if you want to look at those, and you can do your own searches. And honestly, if you do find something, please share it. If you think that I'm wrong, I'd love to hear from you. Yeah, that pretty much is the conclusion. This is why I will never stop calling BCH Bitcoin. This is why I say that BCH is what I bought into in 2013. And, actually it's just amazing to me that it was good enough, this plan was good enough to get us from $0 to $1,000. So a $21 billion market cap. And then suddenly, like I would not have been in that crowd of people buying and driving it from 0 to 21 billion. If I had come on Reddit and found that, no, they were saying this is only going to be 7 transactions per second and we're going to have some solution later, my skepticism would have been off the charts. I don't think I would have bought it. I certainly wouldn't have been recommending it to friends. If I did buy it, it would have been more of a Ponzi scheme, maybe like a risky bet. I don't really see the utility of it if it's permanently capped at 7 transactions per second. And okay, you're going to come in and here say that it's 50 transactions per second. It doesn't matter. Ultimately you need an output and you need a balance to send a transaction, right? So I think like the theoretical minimum is like 28 bytes for a transaction, right? You still have a hard limit there, and even 70 transactions per second, which is super generous, is really not interesting. So that's pretty much everything I wanted to say today. If you're only interested in, kind of my viewpoint on, why BCH is what I bought in 2013, that's pretty much everything I have to talk about today. Leave your comments below. But I do have some bonus items if you want to stick around. These are just things they're not really technical, but I thought they're kind of amusing. So I thought maybe I'll just share them real quick. Well, it is kind of technical, but I'm not going to go into the technical details. This one I thought was pretty interesting. Mark Lundeberg. This is spicy, right? Lightning can run on BCH today. Eek. So apparently there was a November upgrade, check datasig, and he wanted to make a proof of concept before May just to demo this, but too busy. All right. So pretty amusing. I think this is triggering a lot of people. Not only can you have Lightning Network on BCH if you want it, but actually will work better on BCH, right? Because opening and closing channels will be cheaper, updating channels will be cheaper, and as Peter Razoon taught us all like about a month ago, as the dust limit rises, your balances on Lightning Network go down. So actually, the reality is that Lightning Network is infeasible to run on 1 megabyte BTC blocks and maybe feasible to run on BCH. So if that's something you want, you better support BCH Bitcoin if you like Lightning Network, because it might actually work. All right, anyway, next item. So like I said, if you're not listening to the other side, you're self-brainwashing. So I'm on /r/Butcoin, and I'm also on /r/Bitcoin. And oh, that's not the right one. So I was browsing /r/Bitcoin today, and I found an amusing thread. So some people here are celebrating that Bitcamera in Japan is accepting Bitcoin. And I thought, well, that's interesting. That sounds a lot like Roger Ver's work, and I don't want to talk about Roger Ver and these things. This is supposed to be a technical channel, but I just thought this is really just unbelievable. Like you're still celebrating, you're still writing the good work of Roger Ver and celebrating it, and meanwhile, saying that he's a terrible person and a shill and here's the same content from news.bitcoin.com a year ago. I don't know what date this is, whatever. And we're please downvote Bitcoin.com spam. This website owned by Bitcoin Judas. So is it the content or is it the messenger? It's pretty unbelievable. I'd love to know if Roger was actually the one who onboarded these camera people. That'd be pretty interesting. Here's a press release from them a year and a half ago, celebrating this same event. And just one other thing, because it's kind of related to Roger and his character. And if you think he's a bad guy, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm not good at reading people. He seems like honest to a fault to me, but I thought this is kind of interesting. And you're free to interpret this however you like, but basically on May 1st, Roger put this thread here. Why I'm sending more BTC to exchange for BCH, and he has a link to a little image that says, fees are high again. And, that's interesting. I imagine if you hate Roger, you think that he's just lying and shilling his BCH thing. But surprise, surprise, the next day, this article showed up, May 2nd. World's 22nd largest Bitcoin holder makes huge BTC transfer on May 1st. And now I know this doesn't prove anything, but I just thought it's kind of interesting. And I said, he may have told us about this. I think we know who this is. I doubt he's 22nd either, by the way. He owns Bitcoin.com, so yeah. Was he the first person ever to actually buy Bitcoin, maybe? He's got to be close to it. But what I found really interesting here is if you come to this article, you see that whoever this is transferred $200 million worth of BTC. So if I'm interpreting this correctly, Roger Ver is the type of guy who tells the whole world when he's about to make a $200 million market move. So maybe that's something to think about for some people. Well, that's all I want to talk about today. Thanks for watching. Hope you learned a little bit. Hope this was entertaining, and I'll see you guys next time.